Wow.
Ooh, I felt that one. Yeah, but tiny bit.
Oh, no wonder they have that. I always wonder why they have that.
Want to take it to Mary?
Horseshoes.
Look at horseshoe, $3.
He's hanging up in the barn.
That's true.
What I did was I forge welded this, or welded this in the heat of the fire.
That's a good use of steel and stay hot. That's pretty nice.
Wow.
And you can just see the seam there. A little less seam on that side, so I'm going to try to clean that up a little bit. Back in the 1800s, before they had welders and acetylene rigs, electric, this was the way they had to weld things in the fire.
So what do you think?
Can you see?
I can get up to about 3,000 degrees in this coal forge, where iron and steel starts to burn at 2550. So I can actually go past that window to where it's burning. And it's a very narrow window. We don't have as much control with the open hearth like this.
Right, okay.
If you wanted to assemble something out in the, say out in the field or out on a fence line, for example, you would normally rivet that together using the same method that they use on some of the bridges around here, where they would take a rivet, put it through a hole, red hot, they would hammer on both sides of that rivet and peen it over.
Now, did they make anything else besides horseshoes? Or is it just that? Sir? Oh, that is cute. Oh, look at that. Did they make anything else besides horseshoes or anything else?
Before 1830, if you needed something made out of iron, it had to be made in a little blacksmith shop just like this.
Okay.
After 1830, things started to change. The blacksmith shop became more of a repair shop, and the big factories up in Philadelphia, New York, Baltimore, places like that, they really were manufacturing stuff. But this would have been a repair shop and a horseshoeing shop.
I see.
Most of his income was from shoeing horses.
Oh, they have English drill.
What I'm making here is a trivet for putting pots and pans on when you bring them out of the oven, so they don't burn your cable. And for all intents and purposes, that's welded together fairly well.
Nice.
Wow.
You can see the seam, but it's pretty well fused together. When you can hammer on one side of it and it doesn't spring open, that's what my dad used to do to me all the time. It drove me crazy. He would hammer on the side of it and break my welds. Guess it wasn't welded, was it? Not when you hammer it on like that. Now you can see, back here in the darkness, you can see like a red, kind of almost a dull red. That's still about 1100 degrees. When you come out here in the sunlight, it starts to become harder to tell how hot this is. So as a young boy, if you see something laying on the floor, don't pick it up. You would probably only pick it up one time. But normally, the rule of thumb in a blacksmith shop that has more than one person working in it, if it's on the floor, don't pick it up with your bare hands.
Wow.
3rd degree burn.
Ouch.
I've seen a 3rd degree burn.
We'll put a little hook on the end here. This shop was really built to accommodate the horseshoeing business, but originally the shop was down by the river, and it was part of a 3-step process. The first being the furnace where they made the iron. From there, it would have gone to a big chunk or like a log of that pig iron, would have been grabbed with tongs like this, and they would have taken it to a big power hammer that was water driven. And that big log, about 4 foot long, that would have been worked underneath of that hammer. This was huge, and it was water driven, had a 400-pound head on it. Slam, 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 and it would take and actually draw that pig into a length of square or flat, something of that nature, something you could use, whatever the call was for the day. The blacksmith shop, he would have taken and gone up and picked out a piece of iron that was suitable for making whatever his order of the day was. In this case, a strap hinge. He would have picked out a thin piece of metal, drawn it out, punched holes in it, and put the eye in it for the hinge. And you look around this little community, there's hundreds of these things. And this was actually made in the early 1800s out of pig iron. The horseshoeing came later on, and this box here represents horseshoeing tools, different styles, tools. But this thing here, can anybody imagine what this is for?
Beating the heck out of somebody.
Is that dusting?
Okay.
Not quite.
When I was 8 years old, my job was to swish the flies off the horse's legs when my dad was showing them.
That's what I thought.
You can imagine the horse has got his foot up like this. A fly is biting him. He's going to want to stomp. Well, what that means is the horseshoer's got the entire weight of the horse in his lap. So it was real important for me to keep the flies
To keep the horse from getting
hour
distracted.
after hour after hour. Okay. Other good things about this shop is it later on had a drill press. There was a forming cone, and you see me use it to round up a circle. Say you've got something that's out of round, heat that up, drop it on there, and you end up with a nice round. This thing here kind of intrigued me because I was thinking, why did they have a little pedal grinder? Well, making money. Okay, you got 70 families in this little village here. Every one of them's got kitchen knives and axes, and so you would have sent your knives down to the blacksmith shop, and he would have sat here, and he would have taken and sharpened them up for you, and made a little extra money. This is a forming tool also. The swedge block is used to take and punch holes. You set something on there, punch a hole through it, or the slots you can take and put something in and hammer it back and forth and create either a bottom that has square corners to it like this one, or a round. The other useful tool in the blacksmith shop would be this leg vise. If you notice the back jaw on this vise, this is unique to a blacksmith. The back jaw runs all the way to the floor, and in this case it's fastened into the post. In most cases it's sitting on a block of wood or a chunk of iron, and that enables you to take and put something in there, tighten it up, and hammer on this back jaw without damaging the tightening mechanism. Interestingly, you can still find hundreds of these around. They really were handy to have, and manufacturers got into it big time. The anvil that you have here is the appropriate size for a little blacksmith shop like this. This is a pewterite anvil. It was made in London, England in the early 1800s. And the reason I know that, for one reason, it's the weight of it is in stone weight. The other thing is, that's about the size that you would have found in a shop like this. This anvil over here that I work on would have been more of an industrial shop. This is a big 400-pound anvil. it gives you the ability to have 2 or 3 strikers. And a striker would be 2 or 3 guys standing around here. The blacksmith would have brought the iron out, laid it on the anvil, and these guys would have been hammering bing, boom, bang.
Yeah.
Bing, boom, bang. And you could have gotten a lot of work done on this anvil. But this anvil was also interesting in the fact that the Fisher Norris Company made this anvil, and they made it up here in Trenton, New Jersey. They had recorded manufacturing from 1840 to 1970, 400,000 anvils. So that means all you guys got anvils, right? Well, where'd they all go? 400,000 anvils. That's just one manufacturer. World War II came along, the call went out for steel. The anvils were being donated because the blacksmiths were pretty much without a job. So they were donating their anvils, and the anvils were getting melted down and used as material for making everything from tanks to rifles. The other interesting thing about this anvil is, this, I don't know if you can see it, but their trademark was a Federal Eagle. Okay, in 1840, that Federal Eagle was not very popular. Okay, the custom was that if any of these anvils were sold below the Mason-Dixon line, all right, they had to have that eagle ground off of there. That was the protocol of that manufacturer until 1970. So just think about how ingrained that whole resentment was toward the Union Army and the Union, way back when. The other unsung hero of the blacksmith shop is this little water tank back here. This is a way you can control your heat, or heat management. Now, when I made this, for example, heat management was very important. And what you would do is, you would heat this up, okay, cool it from here down, and twist it, okay. Now you heat it back up again, cool it in the quench tank, what we've already twisted, and twist it in the opposite direction. And that gives you a reverse twist. So when you see a reverse twist like this, it's pretty much saying old-time blacksmith made. In a modern shop today, with the big hydraulic presses, what they'll do is they'll take and they'll try to reverse the twist, and they just make a mess out of the original twist. So they don't completely unravel, but what happens is it gets all twisted out of sorts. But when you see a reverse twist like that, that little water tank back there, that little bit of water on here, gives you that ability to twist it. Iron's going to bend and twist where it's hot or where it's thin. The forge that we have back here was really built to burn charcoal in. Right now we're burning bituminous coal. I can get up to about 3,000 degrees in this. But back in the day, it was designed to burn charcoal. Does anybody know how to make charcoal?
No.
Okay, you pile up a bunch of small trees, you light them on fire, you throw dirt on them or pack them with sod to control that burn, smother it down, and what you end up with is charcoal. In the 1800s, they had a big business making charcoal. This was the fuel that fired the furnace, that fired the forges, that heated the homes. Charcoal. You guys have ever been around a campfire and the stuff that's left at the bottom of the fire when it dies out? That's charcoal. From 1700 until the mid-1800s, this little area here was clear cut of small trees. The only thing left was the bigger trees. So when Wharton bought this place in 1880, it was pretty much open ground, except for a little bit of shrubbery.